right, welcome guys. So today is February 9th, and this is our science virtual meetup. I'm glad you're here. We're going to start out today with our I can statement. And our I can statement says, I can explain the space exploration and research that has been done. Okay, so that's what we're going to take this time in this video to discuss and talk through, but we also have a test coming up tomorrow. So if you missed this virtual meetup, make sure that you, after watching this video, complete the exit ticket, but then also go back and look at the Kahoot, okay? Because this is going to help you prepare for our test tomorrow. All right. So we really want to ask ourselves the question. Hold on, let me pull up. We want to ask ourselves this question, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what's on your exit ticket so you can be thinking about it as we read. So today you're going to learn a lot about the different missions into space and the research that was done while scientists were there. You are going to explain one type of research that has been conducted, okay? So you are going to be listening for the different types of research that have been done in space, and pick one form of research to explain, okay? So first of all, I want to just start by talking about space today, okay? Because we talk about, maybe you've heard of the mission to the moon, so the first people that walked on the moon, and we've talked about NASA before, you know, all about the Hubble telescope and things like that. But if you're talking about space today, you might have heard about SpaceX, okay? So SpaceX is an American aerospace company that was founded by Elon Musk, okay? And Elon Musk, you may know him for some other things as well. So he is a billionaire, okay? He's a very rich man, and he has invented many things, including the Tesla car. So you might have heard of a Tesla before. He is responsible for that. And then many other things his company has helped to form. But one of them is a reusable rocket. Okay, so they were the first company to invent this reusable rocket that actually worked. And their mission in creating SpaceX is to make it affordable to bring people to space. They don't want people to pay millions and millions of dollars. They want it to be regular people to be able to travel to space. And then their second mission is that they want to see people eventually living on Mars. Okay, and they believe that the only way to do that is to continue researching space and seeing if that's possible. So that's why they're continuing to send people up to make a way for people to live on Mars. All right, so we are going to go back, though, in time. So that's today, but we're going to go back in time and talk about what space travel has been. Okay, so what it started as and what it has become. So we are going to click on these different tabs to talk about different space explorations and what research was done. This is Project Mercury. This was the first human spaceflight program in the United States. Okay, so the goal was to place a human in orbit and to investigate how they function in space. Okay, so they wanted to put a person up into space and see if they were going to be okay, how they were going to respond. Okay, we know now that is completely normal and completely safe, okay? But at that time, they did not know that, and so they were trying to see if maybe when they came back, the astronauts would have something wrong with their brain. Would they not be able to function correctly, okay? So with the Apollo program, this is another space exploration. The Apollo program was the first spaceflight mission to travel to the moon. Apollo 11 was the first mission to land humans on the moon and safely return them to Earth. Okay, so that one you've probably heard a lot about. Okay, so Project Mercury, they're just trying to send people in space for the first time and see if they can orbit. So they're not going to land on the moon. They're not going to do any of that. They just want to get them up into space and back down. Okay, and then the Apollo program was to actually get people on the moon and walking on the moon. And so then you're going to hear about Neil Armstrong, okay, and some other people who actually walked on the moon. And the United States was the first to get people on the moon, walking around, okay? So we were, to give you a little bit of history, and we're learning this in social studies right now, we were racing the USSR, okay? There was a big space race, and we were not the first people in space. So the United States was not, but the United States was the first to put someone on the moon. Okay, and we'll be talking about that more in social studies this week. The shuttle program. Okay, so this is a space shuttle program that had reusable orbiting spacecrafts. Okay, so their mission was to launch satellites, some of which contain telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope. Okay, to orbit the Earth. So that was the shuttle program. It wanted to keep satellites in orbit in space, including one that contained the Hubble telescope, so that scientists could continue to watch what was going on in space and to learn from the telescope and from other machines that gathered data. ISS. This is the International Space Station. It is a place where scientists can do experiments while living in a giant laboratory that is orbiting Earth. So this is actually a place that exists, guys. Okay, and there are scientists from all over the world that will go to the International Space Station to conduct experiments, to do research in this floating laboratory. Okay. And then NASA. Okay, so this was one of the first creations of the United States. Well, it was the first creation of the United States when we were trying to get people to space. And NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Okay, their mission was to pioneer the future of space exploration. Okay, they wanted to do make scientific discoveries, okay, do aeronautics research. And when I say aeronautics, okay, we're talking about, you can basically replace that word with space. That's the simple version, okay? So they were doing research about outer space, okay? So go ahead and take a moment and see if you can match these up. Okay, so Project Mercury, did that include the first mission to land humans on the moon? Was their mission to launch satellites and the Hubble Space Telescope? Was it just to get humans in orbit to see how they functioned in space? Then there's also the Apollo program and Space Shuttle program. Try to match those up, and then I will match them up. Okay, you can pause it if you need to. I'm going to match them up. Project Mercury, the goal was for them to orbit space. Apollo program, they wanted to get a human on the moon safely. Space Shuttle program, they wanted to get satellites to orbit Earth, okay, including the Hubble Space Telescope. Okay, last one. Try to match these up correctly. Okay, so ISS stands for the International Space Station. Okay, so this is a place where scientists can carry out space investigations. And then NASA. Their mission is to pioneer the future of space exploration. So it was that first, the first program, the first program created by the United States to explore space. Okay? All right, so go ahead, guys, and we are going to be done with this section for today. Oh, actually, let me see. There might be something that Did we get to these? Oh, yes, no. Let's read these really quick, and then you will be able to answer your exit ticket, okay? So here's a little bit more information about the International Space Station and what they do. So all these scientists, here are some things that they've done. The ant farm. Scientists wanted to test the effects of gravity on ants. Since there's no gravity in space, scientists wanted to know how the ants would react and adapt. So would they be able to change to their environment and live? So an ant colony was brought in a rocket to the ISS where it could be studied. Robonaut. NASA scientists created the Robonaut to help astronauts on the ISS. The robot was designed to help the astronauts with certain tasks while maintaining the ISS. Spacecraft fire experiments. These were a series of experiments done in order to know what astronauts should do if a fire happens while they are on the ISS. Understanding how fire behaves in space is an important step in knowing how to deal with a fire in case it ever happens. Okay, so just like think about a fire drill. Okay, that's basically what this is. Okay, they have to know how to respond in space. Plants in space. NASA has done a number of experiments with plants in space. The ISS has a section where astronauts have different kinds of plants growing. Scientists would eventually like to grow fruit and vegetables for the astronauts in space, instead of having to send them from Earth. Then the last one, regeneration. Another experiment done by NASA scientists was with worms. Worms are able to regenerate body parts if they are cut off. The scientists wanted to see if this was still true in space. Okay, so they took an animal that could actually grow part of itself back, and they wanted to know, is that still possible in space? Do they need gravity? Do they need some sense of direction, some sense of maybe Earth's pull, their magnetism? They wanted to see if worms would respond the same way. Okay? All right, now that is it for today. So what I want you to go ahead and do is explain one type of research that has been conducted, okay, that you just learned about. So go ahead and go to your exit ticket for today. You can click on courses, science, go to the bottom of your page, Tuesday, okay, and right here is your exit ticket. Go ahead and complete that. And you are good to go. I will see you guys very soon. Great job.